well, I'll just tell you this. If you've never gone to and I'm not going to say a 3D archery tournament, but I'm going to say one to the scale of like Bow Fest or Total Archery Challenge, you have to do it at least once in your life.
Oh, you got her, dude. She's down. Let's go.
Dude, I just shot a deer of a lifetime.
Freaking smoked him.
One with nature, and if you're a believer, one with God.
Definitely gets your heart pumping. Boy, you are in trouble.
Fall Obsession Podcast.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another week of our Fall Obsession Podcast, driven by our friends over at Elite Archery. I am Sam with Fall Obsession, hosting you guys once again, and joined this week by our co-host, Media Production Manager Nick Powell is back. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Sam? Glad to be here, as always.
Oh, yeah. Always a good time. And, guys, we're super pumped to be back on here with a friend of ours. He's actually been on the podcast before. He joined us back in February for episode 48, and that is Mr. Chad Allen Jones. Welcome back, Chad.
What's going on, fellas?
Man, nothing much. Just ready for this deer season to start. Super pumped to be back on here with you again. I know I'm speaking for myself, and I know a lot of our listeners too enjoyed your last one on here talking about that big deer you killed a while back, and looking forward to where this conversation is going to take us.
Right on, man. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me back on. You know, I'm always down to talk deer hunting, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Look forward to it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so we just basically wanted to have you on, Chad, just because we saw on your social media that you took part in the Total Archery Challenge in Utah. And so I was curious about it myself. And then also I figured that would be an interesting topic since we do mainly bow hunt in Fall Obsession. And so I was thinking it'd be an interesting topic for our listeners to kind of hear about as well. And so I guess we can just start from the beginning and then just work our way through how the whole competition works. And so I'll just throw it to you, Chad, and if we come up with any questions, we'll just ask away.
Right on, man. Yeah, well, I'll just tell you this. If you've never gone to and I'm not going to say a 3D archery tournament, but I'm going to say one to the scale of like Bow Fest or Total Archery Challenge, you have to do it at least once in your life. You know, I kind of compare it to the Super Bowl of archery tournaments. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal. So, you know, they've started. It's only, I don't know, maybe a few years old, somewhere around there. That Total Archery Challenge has started, and I'd heard about it, you know, like I'll see the plugs through like social media and all that. But most of them weren't close to home, you know, but they tour. I mean, there's multiple states that pretty much travel across the country over, you know, a few month period for people to sign up and go shoot. But it brings thousands of archers, you know, from all over. I met people from Australia. I mean, people from New York. I mean, it's pretty amazing. But anyway, largest sponsors in the world at this thing, you know, obviously John Dudley with Knock On is kind of the figurehead behind all of it. And so he hooks up his travel trailer and heads across the country, and so he attends every one of them. He gets out and shoots with some of the guys. You know, he's got his own Knock On course that's there, which is, I shot on one of the days, and it's extremely challenging. But man, I'll just say, I mean, the overall experience, man, you've got to try it. It's pretty awesome. But so how it all came about, like I say, I would see it, you know, kind of filtering through on social media. Well, so Numa was one of the sponsors for it this year. And so they called me whenever they were trying to assemble a team. So they wanted some of the recon team members, you know, to attend at least some of the events that were relatively close. And so when they had it down in Texas, down in San Antonio, they called and said, hey, can you come down and shoot with the team? So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I drove down and shot there with Dan Staten and Cody Roberts and Will with Numa and met a lot of super cool people. I don't know if you guys follow Crispy, the big social media follower, and Black Rifle Coffee guys were all there because they're also a sponsor.
Okay.
It's just amazing. You're going and you're shooting a course, so it's almost like a golf course. They put you on a station, and that's your first target. And depending on skill level, so if it's new archers, because you have some that are literally shot a bow like 3 or 4 times, to professional archers that are at these things, and so you can pick different courses based on the skill level. So there's some that are relatively flat, and larger targets, just a little bit easier, and then there's some that are super technical, extreme angle, really tight windows, shooting through trees and limbs, and so it can be as difficult as you want to make it based off of that. And most of them are 25 targets, but you're traveling up and down hills and canyons and locations, so it makes it I'd say on average they probably take 4 hours or so to get through a typical course. And anyway, but you're partnered up, with some people on the course, and you go out and shoot, and obviously it's got rings on it, on your target that then give you the points based off of, and ideally you're hitting the target. A lot of people hit a lot of trees, and so I will tell you this, just food for thought, make sure you take plenty of arrows.
Yeah.
Because when we went, down in Texas, the first tournament I went to down in Texas, so a storm blew in and it was blowing like 35 to 40 miles an hour.
Oh, shit.
And so, and I shoot really lightweight arrows, and I was having to hold over like 2 feet just to even hit the target. The wind was so strong. And so it got a little comical there for a while, but man, just a blast, man. It's so much fun, and you're meeting, you're meeting all people that, whether they're just getting into archery or serious hunters like you guys, you're meeting, other people that just have that thing in common. And so you don't really meet a stranger there. Like everybody, they're all there for that same passion and reason. So it's really, really cool. But yeah, so anyway, went to Texas, shot at that one, and then I was supposed to go to one up in Colorado. Then I was supposed to go to Montana, and then I went to the one in Utah. And Colorado and Montana got scratched. My daughter actually runs track, and she qualified for regionals for one of those weekends for Colorado. So obviously I couldn't miss that. Well, then she advanced and ended up going to state for sprint relay and track. And that was the weekend of Montana. So I ended up missing both of those, but it was worth it. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. I know we've said before that a lot of the things we do are to, kind of educate, and also we're very family oriented. And so I like that you put your kids in front of this archery challenge, which is a lot of what we say a lot of the time is, we do this for the kids. Because I know Sam, we both have young kids that we're excited to get into hunting, and so that's a lot of what we do it for as well. So that's
and that's the thing. I'm glad you said it, because that was one of the things I was amazed at, how many like little kids were there shooting, and they would come with their dads, and man, there was a little boy there that had like a custom made longbow, and I was like, man, this is awesome. And but awesome. It was, there were people bringing their whole families. Their wives would shoot, both kids would shoot, and it was really, really cool. But it's awesome seeing the younger generation get in there and just really take that in for what it's worth. It's
for sure.
It's awesome.
Couple of questions. So you said there's multiple locations. And so are these like, they just switch locations every year and have one event a year, or is it kind of like a tour that they do throughout the year?
Yeah, it's a tour that they do throughout the year, and it's got preset destinations, and so I mean it's a full blown ordeal, man. Like they have a traveling field staff crew that goes and they cut the limbs and trim out the trails and put out the signage and the walkways.
Oh, wow.
And ahead of the tournament's coming to that weekend, and then they take up all those targets and move them to the next. But yeah, they travel all over the country. I mean, they went from West Coast to East Coast to back. I mean, it's I can't remember how many total there were, but I mean, it was a lot. It was
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was all multiple states all over, so it pretty much gave everybody an opportunity. And then I met people that had been to every one of them.
No,
and I can't imagine what they do for a living, but they're pretty much every weekend. And so, but yeah, like I say, there was people from overseas that we had met out there that had flown in, and it was pretty amazing. But
wow.
But just food for thought. If you guys go to one next year, man, it'd be awesome if you guys want to join us and come up there, because it should be held there in San Antonio again. And I know the one up in Park City, Utah, that one's held there every year too. So, but if you guys go, I don't know how much y'all go up to the mountains, but this Flatlander was in for a little shock that first day, man, just trying to, because there was a lot of guys from Utah that was at that one, and they're just hiking up and down these mountains like it's nothing. And I'm just like, I was breathing through a straw out there, man. They were all giving me a hard time, but
yeah, that is what I've heard, and I plan on going on a Western hunt eventually. And I can only imagine that's one thing I'm nervous about, is getting up in those mountains where the air is super thin and not being used to it, and then it just whooping me. And I have a feeling I know it's going to happen, but the thing is, it's like, you spend, a couple days up there before you start putting in any sort of exertion, and you'll be pretty good. But it's the normally, people get off a plane or drive in, and then all of a sudden they're going and they're hiking up and down these mountains with a backpack on, your phone and all this. And you can just overdo it real fast, just not knowing how your body's going to respond to it. But it was, sure.
I felt real bad when there was little 5-year-old kids hiking up and down, just blowing and going. I'm back here about to die.
I know I'd be in the same boat. So,
but no, it was all. I mean, y'all have to go do it at least once. You'll be hooked, man. It was really cool. I shot behind Chris B one day. He's pretty good. I don't know if y'all have seen him shoot or not. And I'm being facetious. He's world-class archer.
Really good.
So, that's what I'm saying. He's a professional archer, and it goes to show when you watch somebody like him shoot. I mean, and you got to think, I mean, some of these ranges, I mean, it'll take you out of your comfort zone. For us, ideally shooting whitetail, you're kind of going, man, you're pushing it for me to really shoot outside of 40 yards. Some of these targets were 130.
Wow.
And so I had to actually go buy a sliding pin just so I could even shoot that far, because I'm like, the most I'd ever even had a pin sight set up for was 70 yards, and I never used it, obviously. So I had to go buy a whole new sight and then get out and practice even getting to that range.
Right.
And you don't have to take shots that far, but like the knock-on course, I don't know that there was a shot less than 40 or 50 even on it.
Oh, wow.
So
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's so much fun, man. It is so much fun.
Let me ask you on that, Chad, with you having to make that adjustment from, you're talking about what your familiar range normally is, and then for this competition, getting a new sight and then, putting a tape on it and adjusting for those longer 100+ yard shots. What was your timeline there, and how did that transition or that adjustment to shooting those longer ranges go for you?
Well, really the biggest thing is I did the same thing as I would set up, any other sight. And so I ended up getting one of the black gold sights. And so, it's basically got a roller on it, that it's out, the sight takes out to 100, but I was able to kind of adjust my own once I got those distances dialed in to where I could shoot a little bit farther out. And then some of it, you're just kind of eyeballing it and letting it fly, because, obviously you don't know, if you don't have 130 on the dot, you're just kind of measuring the distance and shooting. And most of those are like elk or, caribou or something. It's a big target to where even if you're a little bit off, you should still be good. But no, when I got the sight, it just went back to just getting into the 20, setting up my 30, setting up my 40. And then, so from my 40 on is where my slider starts. And so, so I've left that sight on, for bow season this year, just because I'm already dialed in from my 20, 30, 40. And so, because ideally I don't like, trying to hunt with anything that I have to adjust on the fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As you guys know, any additional movement that you've got to make on a whitetail that's in close range is never a good option. So I've always liked fixed pins. So and then, so I know the yardage, I'm not having to adjust anything, at last minute. So really that sight's ultimately everything past that 40 is for target anyway. But
Gotcha.
I would say it took about a week probably, just cause man, I was having some, when I would bottom out, on my, cause my riser height is so short. I'm so short on axle to axle on my bow that my sight, the bottom of my sight was bottoming out, like my top fletching was hitting it. So then I had to get a little creative of work that out. Then I went with shorter profile fletchings, but it was like my bow's just not made to shoot that far because of the how short and compact it is. But once I got it in, overall, shooting that far, it all comes down to technique at that point. If you've got bad technique, if you think you're a little bit off and all over the place at 40, you're really going to be in trouble at 100.
Yeah, you'll be nowhere in the neighborhood.
Right. So overall, it's really good. I would say it's good for any archer to do that, because once you get proficient at shooting those far ranges, dude, you go back to 20 and 30, and it's like, oh my God, this is cake,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you said that you mentioned having a target set up, which leads me to my next question. Are these bows that people are shooting, are they mainly target bows, or are they mainly hunting bows, or do they have groups for both?
It's you bring whatever bow you want. We watched a guy with a recurve shoot an 88-yard target.
Whoa.
Holy cow.
And when you have no sights on, that makes it more impressive. You know what I mean?
No kidding.
Part of that's a lot of luck, but he was a really good, really, really good trad archer, man. It was pretty cool to see. But no, there's people from, that's what I'm saying. Like, Chris B, he was there, and, he had huge stabilizers on his bow. He was shooting one of his competition bows. It was decked out and ready to roll.
Right,
I took my bow that I hunt with every day, and so it, there was just a little bit of adjustment, like I say, in terms of the ranges and things on there for me. But yeah, there was people that had everything, traditional bows, they've had compounds, they had, I mean, there was people with 3-foot stabilizers on the end of these things. I mean, you saw it all, you know?
Yep, for sure. That's awesome. And all these people competing, are they, like with the different bows, are they all being scored the same still?
Well, and so that's the thing, too, is that, you know, they say that, they call it Total Archery Challenge, and you're thinking of, okay, well, how's this fair if I'm competing against other guys? So at the end of the day, you're really just kind of competing internally against, your group that you're shooting with.
Okay.
It's not really an overall competition of like who wins, because I agree, who's going to pay the money and sign up if they know Chris B, a professional world champion archer, is signed up to shoot if he's not in a different if he's not in a different league, and so it's really, they don't do it in terms of competition like that. It's really just to get out there and shoot, and it's more of a competition with yourself of you're trying to deal with, the pressure of people watching in terrain you've never been in, and elements that, ranges that aren't comfortable to you. So it's really fatiguing. It's more of a self challenge, but you're getting to go and shoot with people. Now they do have like some miscellaneous competitions there that you can sign up for. Like one of them, they have like a big steel rhino. Like a silhouette of a rhino, and it's got a small hole about probably, I don't know, I'd say maybe the size of like a silver dollar.
Okay.
And I think it was at 100 yards or 92 yards, something like that. And if you shot and hit it inside of that silver dollar from that far, you got entered to win a truck. So they had some, but on the flip side, there were a lot of shattered arrows laying on the ground because it's a steel. It was like a 1/4-inch steel plate that you're shooting at. So you got to be pretty confident if you're even going to enter that competition to begin with. But they had a lot of little things like that, that you could go in and and compete against. But it wasn't like, at the end of the day, you turn in your score, for a grand prize or first, second, third, whatever. It wasn't anything like that.
Gotcha. Okay. That answers my question.
Well, and it would be hard to judge that. I mean, you got people like one of the days, unless you had an official score on every single station, then it's like golf, right? Where guys are like, oh yeah, well, I got an eagle on that one, and and kind of working the paperwork. And so it's like, unless somebody's there to officially score it and where it's at, and then it's just, it's more for fun.
Okay.
It's more of a challenge.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely, because once I saw you posting about it, and I've always liked 3D, because I know when we go out to Cinnamon Creek, they got a pretty sweet 3D course out there. And then I saw you posting about this Total Archery Challenge. I'd never heard of it before, and so it kind of perked my ears a little bit at it. And so hadn't looked much into it, but I definitely wanted to ask you about it, because it's something that I'd definitely be interested in doing. And man, if we could get a team together and go.
I think that'd be really cool, man. If you guys, all the session boys, get together and go do. Go do some shooting and, some camaraderie there. That'd be really cool. And there are people that do that. We see a lot of, I guess there's a ton of vendors there. You've got everything from every type of, Hoyt is there with a booth, and Matthews and Elite and Expedition. Everybody is there. Numa was there, sponsor, Kuyu, everything. You name it. There's vendors from all over, and so that might be something too. You guys might want to look at, going in as an event exhibitor, and get like a booth. Sure. And that way you guys can meet, people throughout the industry, but y'all can go and shoot like in the pastimes of it. It's really a lot of fun, man. And they got like Randy Newberg came in, and they have like an elk calling contest up there. they do like some of the like loopholes, kind of their, I'm trying to think of what you call it, but it's like their new release, like short clip videos. You know, they'll show some of those. They've got guest speakers that come to them. I mean, it's cool. It's a big deal.
Yeah, so it's definitely, sounds like it's definitely more than just going to shoot 3D archery.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's an all weekend deal. Actually, I was there from like Wednesday through Sunday. I mean, it's a multiple day deal, you know, and there's thousands of people, you know, that come through each day. But like, you know, they'll have, you know, bands come and sing. Like Easton Corbin came and sang one of the nights up in Park City, and so it's a lot of fun. Like the Texas one would be awesome, you know, because that way it's not too far for you guys. And I think it's actually Texas is actually their very first stop, if I remember right, and it's in like second week of June or something like that. And so I'm sure when they post the schedule, you guys will see it. But yeah, I can definitely let you know when it gets nailed down.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, we'll have to put some on the books.
Yeah,
absolutely. Y'all won't regret it, man. It's awesome.
And you said there was teams. I mean, does it matter how big a team size is, or are there?
Nope. We saw, so like, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with like Rihanna Carey and Amanda Caldwell. You know, they're all with like Mountain Ops.
Okay.
So, Truett, Cam Haines' son, he was there one of the days, and they had some videographers there with them, and a ton of the Mountain Ops people, some head of the marketing for Hoyt, and they all went on a shoot together, and there was like 16 of them all in this group. So the issue with that is it's fun because they all get to, you know, go through and shoot together, but if you're a group behind them, you get bottlenecked there for a while. So sometimes, you know, you can just play through. It's just like golf. You get a big group, or you know, somebody slow or whatever, you can just kind of play through on one of them. So, but everybody's super laid back and cool. I mean, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, you could have as big of a team or as many teams as you wanted.
That's awesome. So what was there anything specific that drew you to Utah specifically, or was that just kind of one?
Well, like I said, so Numo, they actually were a sponsor of it, but they were taking all of their exhibitor stuff to 4 locations, and that's what I say. They were going to Texas, obviously, because it's close to them, and then they went to Colorado, Montana, and Utah, which are kind of the bigger ones. It's like that's like the 4 biggest ones in terms of turnout. And so they picked those 4, and I was supposed to go to all 4, but I only was able to make 2 of the 4. And so Montana, I was really, really looking forward to. So I've got to do that one next year, assuming that the daughter doesn't make it to the state tournament again.
Yeah, not a bad reason to miss at all.
Right.
Awesome. Sam, can you think of anything else that?
No, man. I mean,
I can't think of any other questions.
No, that's awesome. Like I said, we're definitely gonna have to check it out and see what we can do maybe next year.
Yeah, it's it's phenomenal. Like I say, you can follow them on like Instagram and Facebook, and they'll start promoting it like, you know, months earlier. You know, but it doesn't sell out, you know, so it's not like one of those things, you know, I mean, you can decide the weekend before if you wanted to go. The only thing is some of your days, like your Saturday is typically like your busiest day. So, you know, if you guys were wanting to just go and set up a booth or something and, you know, just kind of do meet and greets with people coming through, or, you know, promoting your podcast or whatever, you know, those days would be probably better for Saturday, because so many people coming through. Because if you're trying to shoot on Saturday, it gets really slow because there's so many people shooting that day.
Oh yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So, but
That makes
But yeah, like I say, yeah, you guys can always reach out to me because I know Numa is scheduled to attend some of those next year. I don't know if they'll try to change some locations, but I know obviously Texas they'll do for sure, and that's the kickoff. That's the very first one, and then Park City is well, it was second to last. They did one in Snowbird as well, but Utah is their last stop of the tour.
Gotcha.
Sweet. Well, Chad, we appreciate you coming on and giving us a bunch of good info about the Total Archery Challenge, and I hope some of our listeners were able to take some of that, and maybe they'll be interested in heading up there too.
Yeah,
and participating.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a blast, and that's the thing, is people are like, oh, they hear Total Archery Challenge, and they're like, man, I don't want to do that. Go compete against, a bunch of people then shooting their whole life. It's not that at all. You're going up there just meeting friends and shooting and making fun of the guys that shoot all their arrows into the tree. And, it just, at the end of the day, everybody goes back to the hotel or whatever, kicks back. They have like events and dinners and stuff like at night. You can either go attend the concerts, go back and have drinks, cocktail hours. They had like Corey Jacobson came in, did like a seminar of elk calling. It's cool, man. It's a big event. It's really awesome.
Sounds like a blast. We'll have to, like we have already established, we're gonna check it out for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I know that was the main point that we wanted you on here for, but I always get excited having another fellow Collin County hunter on the podcast. So are there any prospects or anything out there that you got your eyes set on this year? This hunting season?
Man, I've got a couple of them. I've got 3 places that I hunt in Collin County, and one of them I had a really, really good buck show up, which gave me a huge sign of joy when he stepped out or came out on camera. But I haven't seen him back, so I think he was kind of transitioning from summer to fall range. But hopefully he's made a home somewhat close by, and which, I don't get too up in arms if I haven't seen much at this point. It's been so hot, and
absolutely,
and in this time of year, now all the hunters are starting to get into the woods, and it starts pushing bucks around, and so, and then you always hear your dreaded October lull, which is basically just the repercussion of hunting pressure. And so I don't get too up in arms, but yeah, he's one I would. He was an 18 pointer. He's one I would definitely focus on if he shows up too much more. And then I've got one at my other location a little bit further east in Collin County, and he's kind of sporadic. I know he lives on the property, but he's not moving a whole lot either. But, I'm starting to get some bucks fighting. They're getting where they hate each other now. So, as once scrapes and things start opening up, I'll move some cameras around, and he'll eventually be hitting one of them. So, and then I got a place up in Oklahoma. Got some decent ones coming in up there. Then I'm going to try to, probably closer to Thanksgiving, try to get up there and see if I can send it on one of them. Now, they're already daylighting up there, so so now it's just a matter of getting the right wind and making a move. And then I got drawn for the Grapevine, Honey Lake Grapevine again this year. So
no kidding.
Yeah, so I've been out, done a little scouting out there. I found a tree with it's probably about a 10-inch diameter tree that is just torn to pieces. So I know there's a giant there somewhere. So I've kind of set up a little mock scrape there, and we'll see if we can make some magic happen when weather gets a little right. So
heck yeah.
See how it goes. What about you guys?
Well, I kind of having the same issue. A few weeks back, I had a buck show up on camera, and they were still in there. Well, it was a couple of bucks, and they were still in their bachelor groups, but one really good one, he was an 11 point and or a 12 point. 11 or 13, I can't remember, but I know on the left side he has a split G2 that splits at the base, and so it looks like it's just another point sitting there. And he showed up one night on camera with this other pretty decent 8 or 10, and hadn't seen him since. We had some cows get down in the bottom of the area we hunt that we kind of keep fenced off just so the deer will feel more comfortable.
Right.
And the cows won't tear up our feeders and such. But we went down there and we had to put some hog panels around our feeders to keep the hogs out because they tore up our feeders over this summer. And we got pictures of deer jumping into the panels and stuff, but I hadn't seen that big deer back. But just like you said, it's been super hot, and I think they've had a lot of food opportunities around where I hunt, and so hopefully as that stuff gets mowed down and processed, that'll take their food sources away a little bit, and so that'll draw them towards the feeders a little bit more. So like you said, I'm not too worried about it at the moment, but hopefully they'll make their way back, especially that big one.
Yeah, no doubt, man. That'd be awesome. You can get him down. I'd like to see him when you got your hands wrapped around him.
Yeah, me too.
Sam, what about you, man?
Man, so we got this new, Nick's on it with me, but this new property out a couple hours west of us here. 800 acres that we're working with out there, and we've been putting out a lot of content regarding all the stuff we're doing out there, but got some decent deer. Certainly all the potential's there. The place hadn't been hunted in probably decades at the most, so other than just gas well trucks driving through, these deer that live out there now, they've never been pressured at all, ever. So it's raw land and a blank slate basically, which is good. It's just going to take a lot of work over a few years to get it what we want, but we're pumped about it. So I've been putting in a lot of time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been putting in a lot of time out there trying to get that ready. I know we've talked about it on the podcast before. We got 2 bucks for sure that are shooters this year. One of them that we've seen passing through the area that we have our bow setups in, he's a solid 10 point. His G3s are probably, I don't know, they're pushing 12 inches. Like he's a tall deer, just a clean looking 10. So he's one of our shooters. We're guessing him at about 5.5 probably. And then my dad actually put a rifle stand up on his portion of the property on the north end, and he's got another old, mature, just giant, clean 8 point coming in up there. So excited about both those deer, and then we got just a ton of deer showing up on camera in general. So we're pretty pumped, and it definitely has the potential to, over the years start getting more specific with what we're feeding and what we're putting down, and hopefully start growing some decent sized deer out there. So
heck yeah, man, that's awesome. And it's always that exciting time of year that's starting to come around, because you don't have them on camera right now, another 6 weeks that'll all change. And
yeah, if
you got some property that hasn't really been hunted, and there's going to be some giants that have lived a long time somewhere around out there. It's just a matter of them dragging out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And especially with that much area to roam, who knows what'll show up, when you're out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I know we've talked about it before, and I won't get too detailed into it because we have plenty of content talking about the concept, but just the scouting these first couple of years, and learning the property, learning where the deer are. And I already just in this past little over a month, I've moved cameras around like crazy, just trying to learn other areas and new areas. And okay, there's some deer here, well, let's move this camera and see what's down here, type deal. And actually I was gonna mention it too also to you, Chad, because I know you're a partner and associated with Spy Point. We're not in any official capacity, but we got 4 Spy Point cameras out there this year, and I've been pretty impressed with those little things. They've been doing a pretty good job for us.
Yeah, it's all technology, right? I mean, it's as good as anything. Somebody was telling me one day, they're like, "Man, I can't get that to work. this, that, whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, do you have much service? No, it doesn't have much service. Okay, well, that's probably a pretty bad start right now if you don't have a lot of service. And then on top of that, they're like, yeah, but man, it's just not reliable. I was like, well, I have a $1,000 phone that doesn't work half the time either. It drops calls. I was like, so I don't really know what to tell you, but it's but yeah, it's different strokes for different folks. But
yeah, and I feel like everybody. I feel like everybody's situation is different, and so those cameras are going to perform differently for everybody. And I was just talking to a buddy of mine that I work with yesterday. We were talking about just what game cameras we run and whatnot, because I was telling him that I need some cell cameras as well because I don't have any. And he was just like, man, well, I use this brand and it works great. And I'm like, well, I've heard from other people that brand sucks, and it didn't work for them at all. And so I'm like, man. It's just it's a hit or miss thing, and you just got to find what works for you, pretty much.
Well, and I'm a big believer in don't knock it till you try it kind of deal. So
for sure.
I own just about every cellular camera that's been made, and of course, obviously, I can't promote those when I get pictures on them. But it's I don't want to ever say, oh, well, you should do this when somebody might For instance, I have a Tacticam Reveal, and I love the picture quality of 24 megapixels, and but there's some things that I don't like about it, but I've got some that are $600 cellular cameras, and I'm sitting there going, man, if I can buy a Spy Point Micro, now the megapixels might not be as high, but for $89. This is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's like, because I don't need to see the eyelashes on the deer. I just need to see what it is and when it's coming in to give me the information I need to hunt it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
So it's just different for what you want it for, right?
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate out there to have good cell service in our area. So I think all of our cameras are pretty high on their signal strength and everything. So we're good with that for sure. And I know that plays a part for some guys. They don't have that, but I mean, there's still boosters and other stuff available too that you can pick up to help with that too. So
right, yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's awesome, man. So, but yeah, and then I've got a trip up for Kansas, going up second week of October, and then I'm going hunting with the Numa guys the last week of October. Last week of October, I'm going hunting with the Numa guys down in Hondo. Second week of December, I'm going up to hunt in Kansas. So the first time hunting Kansas, so I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome.
I was supposed to go last year, but it got canceled due to COVID. So anyway.
Well,
and Nick, I hadn't forgot about you. I might need you to come along if they got some shooters showing up when I get ready to go. I might see if you need to jump in the truck and go film it.
Well, hey, you just let me know. We'll work something out.
Heck yeah, we're always down for a trip to whitetail country in Kansas. Heck yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to going for sure.
Well, it sounds like you got a good season planned, and so after the season's all said and done, we'll have to get you back on and get an update, see how things went.
Yeah, really, what I'm most really excited for is hunting Lake Grapevine. Honestly, I think they said there was like 6,000 people that put in for the draw this year, and 250 got permitted for it, and so I was fortunate enough to get drawn, but the drawback is, I would say there's maybe 1,500 acres that's, huntable in terms of not being up next to duck hunters. And, so there's a lot of people. It's a lot of pressure, and those mature bucks, it won't take but about 2 weekends, those first 2 weekends, opening weekend, the following one, and most of those deer are going to go nocturnal, until the rut. So I don't know that I'll even get out there and hunt until the rut ramps up. So we'll kind of see how it goes. But there's some mega giants in there. It's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time.
That's it. That's all it is.
But yeah, So, it's always fun. It's always that fun challenge trying to get one on public land. You know what I mean? It's just something a little more special about that because you've defined a lot of odds. If you can get one on public land with that many hunters and bucks that are that smart, it's just because I see a lot of young bucks out there, but not the ones I want to shoot.
Right, for sure, yeah. And public land makes it that much harder. Me and Sam took a little stint at public land last year when I got drawn for a Big Lake Bottom. The Big Lake Bottom wildlife area down by down by Palestine.
Yep.
And it was so hot that there was really, I didn't see a point in us even being out there because I knew the deer weren't going to be moving during the daytime anyways. So, but it was rough.
Yeah, it was a good time, but man, it was hot. It was one of the hottest things I've ever been on.
Yeah, and that's always tough because those deer know it's hot too, and it doesn't do you a whole lot of good for you to sit there during the day when they only move at night. And and even you would think sitting up next to a water hole or a creek or somewhere, would be the ticket. A lot of times when it's that hot, they don't even get up to even drink because they don't really have a need to if they're not getting up and moving around. So
exactly.
But yeah, well, hopefully you guys will land y'all's target bucks this year, man. It'll be exciting to see it.
Yeah. Hey, best of luck to you too.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, y'all have to keep me posted and see how you guys do along the way. I'll be interested to see how y'all's new property works out. And of course, I know I'm waiting for somebody to break the Collin County record. So who better to break it than you guys, right?
Hey, that'd be nice.
Yeah, Nick's coming for you.
And I'm pulling for you, man. There's some monsters over where you guys are.
I'm telling you.
So anything could happen.
That's right. Just right place, the right time. That's what we got to wait on.
Well, Nick, Chad, I appreciate you guys taking some time out of your day today to record. It's been a blast, and again, looking forward to seeing what the season holds. So thank you guys for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Well, for our listeners, if you guys haven't already, hit that follow and subscribe button on whatever podcast app you guys are listening on. We are on all major podcast platforms, as well as our website, fallobsession.com, and our YouTube channel. Be sure you head on over to that YouTube and subscribe. We got weekly new videos of all sorts of different types of content coming out. Follow us on social media. Go follow Chad Allen Jones on social media as well. Show him a little love and support as well. I know he'd appreciate it. He's got a lot of good stuff on there too. If you guys want to provide some feedback on the podcast, you can go to fallobsession.com/podcast. There's a form on there for you guys to fill out that you guys can ask us questions, suggest topics or guests, or just general feedback. We take criticism constructively around here, so feel free to tell us what's on your mind. And the few podcast videos that we have are also available from that page as well. And while we're talking about the podcast, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and drop us a review. Give us 5 stars if you can. If you don't think we're worthy of 5 stars, then head to that webpage and tell us why. And we'd love to make the podcast better. So, social media, already covered that. Be sure that you head on over to fallobsession.com and check out everything that we have to offer. And I'm excited about this hunting season. We're going to have a lot of cool stuff coming y'all's way. We got some new apparel on the online store right now that you guys can go check out. And other than that, stay tuned. We got a lot of awesome content coming y'all's way this fall, and we're going to keep it rolling. So we appreciate you guys listening. Gentlemen, thank you all again. We're going to hang it up and appreciate y'all coming on.
It's my pleasure.
All right, guys. We appreciate y'all listening again. We'll be back again with y'all next week for another Fall Obsession podcast episode. We'll catch you then.
See you later.